live. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the glorious Beast Hub. We have a very special guest with us today. It's Lianne from Evolution Square. What's up, Lianne? How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for inviting me.
We are delighted to have you over because we are going to be explaining to our audience what our new T-Rex pitches are. In a previous episode, Jacob, with Clayton Fiordi, we explained why we were sick and tired of the T-Rex being a little bigger on television. And the audience seemed to agree. And now we're going to, push this idea forward. We brought Lianne with us today. We're going to be pitching ideas for a really cool T-Rex. The next T-Rex that should show up in Jurassic Park. So, right off the bat, guys, Lianne, I'm going to give it to you. What do you think about the current T-Rex? Do you think it can, do you think Jurassic can do more with the T-Rex?
They definitely can. I feel like as like a community of fans, we've sort of, in our own headcanon, we sort of justified it by, oh, Rexy is old, and the Spinosaurus that, or the T-Rex that got killed by the Spinosaurus, that wasn't a fully grown one, so we've sort of dealt with it in our own way. But
let's make up excuses, yeah. That's why.
We had to, right? We sort of had to defend the dinosaur that we all love. Mm-hmm. But I definitely feel like they can do some sort of comeback with it. Maybe not with Rexy, because at this point we've sort of made up like she's too old for that. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but she's too old for that. So
yeah, definitely. She's what at this point in the timeline? Almost 40. Like I guess in the lore, I think she was born I don't know what the actual lore of the movies, but I think the books she was born in 88, roughly. I could be wrong. Someone will probably tell me I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was late 80s because the movie came out 93. So I think the T-Rex was already a few years old at that point. So yeah, she's like pushing 50, and like I made that a point of that in the last video. I was like, no disrespect to the iconic Rex, but she needs to retire. She needs to go hang out back on an island and just do her thing. And they need to move on to like a new young, kind of ferocious one. I mean, they have the ones from Lost World, and then we've seen a little glimpse of them in Dominion as well. Mm-hmm. So there are other T-Rexes that are younger that they could do something with.
Yeah. Sure. So we're going to go one by one. We're going to basically be throwing out these new ideas and everything. So hopefully you guys like them. And if you guys have anything to add to them, please write in the comments. We'll be glad to check them out. I go first, and then we're going to go with Lianne and then Jacob. But mine is kind of like, think about this. It's not a movie. It's like a spin-off of the movies, I guess. And we're going to introduce a new T-Rex. In the previous episode, we were talking about how the T-Rex, we now have paleo data that tells us that this guy was super smart, like chimpanzee smart, and animals that are that intelligent. And my idea, I came off of the idea of, what if an animal that smart, like, what if you could like sort of, I'm not going to say domesticate, but train it to do things, right? So in this idea that I'm bringing up, it's a new T-Rex. Obviously, this is like a juggernaut T-Rex, the biggest T-Rex we've ever seen in Jurassic Park. Okay, it looks cool. It's like, it's a different coloration maybe, because we already have the idea that, you can genetically modify these animals, right? Just like Blue and Squad, right? So in this story, this takes place in Japan, because I don't think there's anything done in Japan yet with Jurassic. And it takes place off an island off the coast of the big island, and it's a secret island. The secret island is basically run by like super rich people who like to use this place as a playground. They genetically modify dinosaurs and put random kidnapped people in there, and then they just watch them fight for their lives. Fun fact, this actually does happen in real life. Like, it's not talked about. Obviously, you're not going to see this in the news. I'm not saying this is cool. All right, guys? All right, I'm just saying that this stuff actually happens. There are islands and there are places in the world where people are thrown into. They're hunted by other people, by other animals, and people are just looking at this like for fun, So this is kind of like a ploy off of that, right? This T-Rex was, the one I'm talking about, was made from stolen DNA from Rexy. So they went to like the place in Italy where they have all the dinosaurs. I think it's in Italy. And like they took some DNA from Rexy, and then they mixed it up with more paleo-accurate renditions of the animal. And then the result is a big bad T-Rex. Now this T-Rex isn't a good T-Rex. This is a bad T-Rex. It's going to be the villain now. Okay, so now we have a bad T-Rex in the story. And to make this more interesting, I thought they could steal Blue and Beta. I think that's her baby's name, right?
Yep.
At least
okay, yes.
Now,
So both of them, they're stolen. Beta's grown up now, and they're both mother and child or son. They're taken to this island, and they're basically forced to do the same thing, like go out and kill these people that are thrown in there. Okay, so it's kind of like a horror element to this, you know, kind of like what you said, Lianne, offline, like Hunger Games meets Ark Survival meets sort of, you know what I mean? Like it's sort of those elements mixed together in here. So the plot, I'm gonna be real quick with it. High level, right? I'm thinking about like Blue and Beta make sort of like, I guess they empathize with somebody who knows about raptors. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's somebody who's worked with raptors before, and then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, like I guess I either recognize this guy or I empathize with this guy, right? Because these are empathetic creatures. Now that this big T-Rex comes up and somehow they become like allies and stuff, and then like at the end, maybe the big T-Rex, who's, by the way, I wrote in my notes here, he's like 50 feet in length, which, you know, apparently, you know, T-Rexes can grow to that.
They could have got up to that potentially. I made a video recently on Dangerville to where like a study came out like all that we found is just the average size. We found all the 5'10", 180 pound, you know, average, you know, like a human average size. Like we found all the basic T-Rexes, but it doesn't mean there's a big giant, or there isn't a big giant. T-Rex that's bigger than anything that we could have ever imagined. So could happen. It ain't fake anymore.
Yeah, automatically making this T-Rex the most powerful theropod in Jurassic World history, I guess. So to make this more of a villain, because, you know, a good villain needs to do villainous things. So I'm thinking, you know, to make this more interesting, what if this T-Rex kills Blue, but Blue dies in a heroic action to save her son? Right? Because maybe her son's like cornered up or something. And then now you have a second season, right? The T-Rex didn't die at the end of the season. And now this little guy, he's out for revenge.
A revenge story.
Yes, so it's a revenge story.
That's cute.
Yes. So,
it sounds just in place with the Jurassic World story so far, Joe. You just might as well go with the craziness and just have a, you know, a little baby raptor revenge story. John Wick meets raptor, you know?
Yeah. I guess the horror element here is that this T-Rex was smart. Like maybe while it was young, it was like thrown prisoners or something, and like it was trained to kill people in certain ways. Like, oh, you should throw it up in the air, step on it, smack it with your tail. Just like elephants were trained to kill people back in the day. If you didn't know, there were schools that trained elephants to execute prisoners. That's a real thing. Look it up. Same thing can be applied with this T-Rex. Like it was smart. It could understand commands, I'm sure, or something to some degree if it wanted to. Like, you know, it's fiction, you know.
Yeah. Sure.
But I'd like to think that you could do that with the T-Rex, given its intelligence, right? So yeah, you have all these elements here. I think it would make a pretty fun show. Like, what do you guys think? Like, is it dog shit or what?
No, definitely not. I like that you brought in Blue as well, and you weren't afraid to like go there and kill her. I don't know how the fans would react, but I kind of like it.
Jurassic has a problem with the characters that we like not dying,
Yeah.
Which was something that the original, you know, movies were good at it. They're like, hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a good guy or a bad guy. But the recent memory, the recent Jurassic timeline is very much the good guys are always going to live, you know, like if they're good, they're fine. You don't have to worry about them anymore. So as much as I wouldn't like to see Blue get killed, I think that would have a good impact on the feelings, the emotion. And then like the baby is pretty much Blue. It looks just like Blue. So you can Blue too, you know, like,
yeah,
I don't like, there would still be that role. I think people would be able to get over it because she would be replaced by, you know,
yeah, and she goes out like a badass.
Baby.
Like,
yeah, a hero's death. As long as it's like a heroic thing, you want people to like get teary eyed because it's so heroically happy instead of like, you know, just be like, you know, and go on their phones and start angrily tweeting about it or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess what I was going for is for people to actually try to start developing some sort of negative emotion towards this big T-Rex, but at the same time think of it as like, oh shit, like it's a really cool animal, right? But at the same time hate it, give you know, respect Blue with an honorable death, right? Because eventually she's gonna die one day. So like for example, like me, I don't want to die an old man. I want to go out like a badass. Like that's just how I think. Okay, so I'm like, okay, then maybe we can give Blue the same treatment. Like that's just me.
I'll remember that when you're an old man. I'll be like, hey, you're like 80 something. You want to go fight?
Are you still alive?
What
Yeah,
a
you want
fight?
to fight a grizzly? All right. Well, yeah. Fair enough. No, I think it's cool, but I think it's time to hear our guests' ideas.
Yes.
So what do you think?
Yeah, so you guys approached me to like come up with a story for a villain T-Rex. So I thought to myself, okay, what like a villain T-Rex in Jurassic Park. So what do I like most about Jurassic Park? What do I like most about the T-Rex, and what do I think makes a good villain? So for Jurassic Park, I really want them to go back to the horror elements of it. That's what you said as well, Joe.
Yeah.
What I like about the T-Rex, aside from it being like this huge theropod and it's like a beast, but what I specifically like about it in universe is the whole vision is based on movement. We're not going to get into the whole that's not accurate debate. It's something that's established in universe, so that's what I wanted to go with, because they used that to really great effect in the first movie and then just only used it as a joke in Jurassic Park 3, and that was it. And in terms of what makes a good villain, I felt like, okay, it obviously needs to be doing bad stuff, it needs to be scary, it needs to feel unstoppable. But I also wanted it to feel like you understand. Like you don't agree, but you understand why it's a bad freaking dinosaur, and you understand why it's doing all of this bad stuff. So yeah. I also went with kind of the underground illegal route. And
nice.
I mean, I feel like that's set up in universe at this point. So I don't know if my story would take place after Dominion or maybe before. That's kind of... I feel like that's irrelevant almost. So what I came up with was like this T-Rex that's been used by shady folks in all of these underground dinosaur fights. So it is this combat hardened T-Rex. All it's been doing its entire life is fighting other big theropods. And yeah, it is still just an animal, but it's an animal that's been abused all of its life. So it's always going to react with violence in whatever situation
it works like
it's
that
go in.
Yeah, not sorry to cut you off, but like just to add to your point, that's like with like certain dogs that were raised for fighting and like animals like that, like in their soul they're not a bad being, right? But like they're always going to be messed up in the head because of how they were raised. So they're not evil, but they're not going to be good. So I get what you're getting at, and that would be a fair take to show that, like, hey, it's not just this evil thing that's just evil because it's evil. It has a reason to be doing the stuff it's doing. Doesn't make it any better, but like, you know why,
Yeah, like you understand. You sort of sympathize. It still has to be stopped, but it's not like it's not like the Joker Giganotosaurus, which did not deliver, but whatever. So we have this big scary beast mode T-Rex, but I also wanted to play with the fact that as viewers and fans of this franchise, we've sort of gotten used that they'll throw everything but the kitchen sink at us, everything but the T-Rex, and they keep introducing like these new theropods. So for me, it would be a movie, and it would open with, we hear like this big dinosaur fight in the background, and all we're seeing is like the opening credits and stuff like that. And we hear the T-Rex roar, and there's like this loud bang of a T-Rex or a big dinosaur hitting the ground, and then we get our first shot, and it's like this dead, mangled T-Rex. And as a fan, you're like right away, they're gonna do it again. There's like this other theropod that's gonna own the T-Rex, haha, whatever. And for just a really long time in the movie, you don't really know what this other dinosaur is. So it is the T-Rex, but as a viewer, you wouldn't know it, so you're kind of waiting for that reveal. And maybe there's like this conversation between two bad guys, like one owns the T-Rex and the other one wants to buy it, and he leans on him a little bit, so the sale goes through, and this dinosaur gets transported, and during transport, like the truck crashes or something on this remote highway or this remote mountain road, and it sets this T-Rex loose on this like isolated town in the mountains, in the snow, and it's dark, and that sort of
sounds
combines.
like my town.
Well, you better watch out.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, so it sort of combines like the main road sequence where, you know, the T-Rex is hidden in the darkness and by the rain. This time it would be snow, but it also brings the dinosaur into the familiar environment, like into civilization, because that's something I feel like I wanted more out of Dominion, and they didn't really give that.
Yeah.
So we have like a whole sequence in that town of this T-Rex just stalking people through the streets, and there's going to be like this scene where obviously, you know, bad guys and good guys are trying to catch the T-Rex, and one of them is like, I know how this works. Its vision is based on movement, so I'm just going to stand still. And yeah, the T-Rex loses him because it is indeed vision based on movement, but then like this jump scare, it just like bites at the air and it scares the dude so much that he moves, and then the T-Rex is like, I got you now. So he's gonna kill that dude. And it just goes full on like beast mode in that city, like literally just crashing through walls and flipping cars and all of that stuff. A little bit of a Godzilla moment for the T-Rex. Yes. I kind of wanted to play with the fact that people wouldn't know until that happens that it is a T-Rex. So we sort of get like the big reveal is the T-Rex. Let's give the T-Rex its moment to shine. It's good enough to earn that again after all this time.
Yeah.
And then the last act would be like, okay, she or he, in this case, does get captured and taken back to the fighting rings, and it's gonna face off against the Spinosaurus. And I'm not gonna kill the Spinosaurus. It's not gonna come back after 20 years just to get killed. But like during the fight, they break out of the arena, and this T-Rex just goes on a rampage through that facility, and it's gonna kill people, and it's gonna kill like captured dinosaurs. And at that point, it's like, okay, we have to kill this Rex to stop it, because we don't care about the people, they're bad guys, but the dinosaurs, they are innocent. So they have to stop it. The T-Rex is killed, and I'm probably gonna upset some T-Rex fans just by suggesting that it should get killed, but I feel like a villain only stops when it dies, so I feel like it should die.
Don't tell Batman that.
I fundamentally disagree.
I do too.
So yeah, I feel like it should die, but I also I kind of want to maybe insert like a little cameo from Sarah Harding and establish a big reveal, like the T-Rex is actually the baby T-Rex from the Lost World. Like it's been captured and it's been put through the ringer, and you sort of get like this last moment empathy for this killer T-Rex, but it still has to die, and it sort of becomes like this bittersweet moment.
That's
kind
of
like
cool.
The finale.
Cool little playback to the old thing. Be like, hey, remember that cute little thing? Like, this is it now, and this is how life sucks sometimes. The poor thing's been through it. That would be interesting. That'd be interesting.
Oh, wait, so how does it die?
I don't quite have it all figured out, but I feel like for maybe the emotional impact and like a little callback, maybe they should find a way to trip it so it falls into something, maybe breaks its leg, so at that point it's just incapacitated, and maybe then one of the other dinosaurs that has escaped in this rampage delivers the finishing blow, because I feel like killing a T-Rex with like a gunshot, even though well aimed is going to be realistic, it feels a little bit anticlimactic. So
yeah,
I like that. I like the idea of it falling down, kind of having a King Kong moment. Maybe it's still alive a little bit, going back to like Godzilla 98. You see it like looking at whoever our main character is in the story, and like they have a little moment of like, I'm sorry, I knew you weren't evil, whatever, you know, I knew you weren't truly bad, and then the thing, whether it just dies right there, or if you wanted to have it be a climactic, like Stegosaurus spike through the freaking head or something, you could do something like that. Well, that's an interesting take. All right.
I like how you started with the intro, how like there's a dead T-Rex that falls on the floor, and instead of it panning up and revealing the T-Rex right off from the bat, no, you figure what it is afterwards.
You don't know. They don't ruin the mystery, so the whole time you're like, hey, what? That's still gonna mean something, and that's a good filmmaking right now. You're already doing better than most of the people making TV.
100%.
You know. Well, so I like it.
The bar is set really low at this point.
It is, sadly. I mean, that's what I've noticed with our conversations. It's just like we get a few of us together, we start throwing together better ideas in 10, 20, 30 minutes than these, people that get paid a lot of money. They sit in there for months trying to figure out a story, going over like hundreds of scripts or something, and they still come out with garbage. So it's
they
weird.
don't give a shit. Like they
Yeah,
don't.
we
They
care.
hit.
Yeah.
They don't handle just Jurassic. It's a bunch of other stuff. So it's like, oh, I guess it's time to work on Jurassic
Okay,
again.
yeah,
And then
it's 11 p.m. on Tuesday. That's the Jurassic time. Okay. yeah. No, yeah, that's true.
They're just scrolling through Wikipedia. Okay, what's another big theropod?
This one would be cool. And if
literally
we market it the right way, we'll get
shopping
lots of
around.
money.
yeah. They probably found like an outdated article talking about how the Giga was the biggest one of all time. And they're like, hey, look, it's the biggest one. Let's add that. That's literally what they did. I can guarantee you that's what they did.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, definitely.
All right, Jacob.
All right,
your
so hearing you guys has given me enough time to come up with a kind of a super unique. Now, both your stories are very interesting and would be great because it's better than what we're getting from the actual bigwigs, right? But I'm going is something even more bizarre. Maybe people haven't thought of this one before. I'm going to go with a video game because Jurassic is one of the biggest franchises out there to never get anything worth the crap. The Operation Genesis is good. Evolution is good, right? Those are great games, but they're park building simulators. They're not actual games, or games or whatever, Like, I love those games. I play them all the time. But we've never really truly gotten a real Jurassic Park like action adventure suspense horror game. Like they made them back in the 90s. They made like some crazy 2D stuff and like weird stuff like that, but they've never really done that. And the video game industry is lacking anything dinosaurs. Ever since the Turok franchise died, there hasn't been anything. One of the greatest dinosaur games we've gotten is a King Kong game, the Peter Jackson King Kong game. It's not even a dinosaur game, but it seriously is one of the better ones we've gotten. So my story is, obviously, we set it off in a new, very high budget, because why not? This is a bazillion-dollar franchise. Use your money well. It is a high budget, big game, but not super crazy action or anything like that. It's going to be more of, what's a good game to be an example? Something more personal and scary. I'm going to say something along the lines of the recent Resident Evil games. Have you guys played them at all? Where it's kind of horror.
I've seen gameplay.
Fair enough. But it's going to be like a horror survival game, because that's what everybody wants, with a little bit of action in there and excitement. So I don't care where the setting is of this world. That can come later in the developments, the process of... It doesn't matter where it's at. My idea of where it would be at is somewhere less cheesy, because it's always in a Jurassic franchise. It's a cheesy location. It's the big haunted house in the middle of the woods. It's the weird place that's Malta, whatever the hell it was, in the desert, and it's all, or it's a jungle, or it's a random James Bond place out in the middle of nowhere. It's always these cheesy, unrealistic scenarios or settings. So I don't care where it's at. It just doesn't matter where it's at. Just make it cool and pretty looking, right? We don't need to know where it's at. So you're in there, and you're not a bad guy. You guys both went with the bad guy route. Our character is a good guy. These people aren't doing anything shady. They're not doing anything, horrible. They're not black market jackasses or anything like that. They're just, trying to grow dinosaurs. Not grow, make them live. It's like a true living sanctuary in this world. Like, once again, you wanted to see more of this in Dominion, and we didn't see any of it, really. But this is an actual, like, functioning kind of place to where it would actually, be built. But it's big, and it's big, like multiple 100 acres. Let's just say it's like a 1,000-acre big plot somewhere out in the Midwest in America, where it's just tons of land everywhere. So your main character is, let's say he's not really a scientist. He's honestly just like a zookeeper, but like for dinosaurs. So more of like a biological keeper person, just like a handler. I guess is the right way of saying it. So you're not bad. You're just there doing your job. And at one point, you end up making a buddy, a friend, a T-Rex young little thing. So there's already other dinosaurs there. But since your job is that you are a T-Rex handler, you're kind of Chris Pratt with the Raptors, but you're with the T-Rexes. So throughout this game, the very first thing, your first-person game probably, why not? Because it makes you the character. you see the little thing hatch like it did in the movie, where you see the little thing come out of the egg and you see your character's hands, and you hold the baby Rex. And then throughout the whole game, like the training mission would be the next time you see it, it's like a little toddler T-Rex, and you grow with this baby T-Rex. And then one day, the thing ends up being bigger than you. It's bigger than the one in Lost World. But like, I don't know how fast T-Rexes actually grew. I never seen one. But sometime longer down their growth span to where it's, say the size of a horse. I don't know how that would be. Taller than a human, about as long as a horse, maybe a little bit longer with the tail. But it's not super huge yet, right? Like, it's still a personal sort of thing. Like, yeah, it could kill you, but it kind of goes on the whole intelligence handler thing. Like, it doesn't really want to kill you. It could snap at any moment, obviously, like lions and tigers that we see grow up with people. Like, they're mostly good, but you never know. So you still keep that level in there. I don't want it to be another Blue thing to where it's cheesy and like she's like crying when Chris Pratt says hi and all that. Like, none of that. That's too much. I still want it to feel like an animal. But at one point, in classic Jurassic fashion, the two or three best movies is in the Jurassic franchise, in my opinion, is when shit goes wrong. Cool. Jurassic Park 1, the park goes down. Jurassic World, park goes down. The Lost World, the whole expedition goes down. It goes wrong. So when stuff goes wrong, it's kind of the Jurassic Park trope. And it's a good trope because it works. It's like the King Kong trope. It's the same story, but there's a reason why. It's a great trope. So stuff goes wrong. And at some point, the whole facility gets just, something happens. We don't know if it's dinosaurs. We don't know if it's people. We just know everyone's gone and there's dead people and we don't know why. Like, it's the horror starts to kick in. You don't know what ever happened because you were just, hanging out with your little T-Rex buddy. And as you're figuring it out and the pieces come together that the whole facility's down, everyone's gone, everything's going bad, you eventually decide, like, crap, I gotta get out of here. And the only way to get out, their facility is in the middle of this 1,000-acre area. And so throughout that whole experience, you're trying to escape while also finding ways of contact because you're pretty much left alone and you have your T-Rex buddy with you. And so it's almost like that Primal kind of the TV show Primal, to where like you're the human and then you have a T-Rex kind of animal, like a sidekick animal in a way.
Cool.
And then throughout that experience, you're having to survive all sorts of dinosaurs that are coming at you, all sorts of maybe the people were killed by a group of your shady people that you guys are talking about that wanted to come steal the dinosaurs, right? To do their black market stuff. So maybe there's some of that going on, a little bit of action, adventure,
Sounds
you
cool.
have to make a knife and shank somebody or something like that. And so you get a different experience with the T-Rex. It's almost like it's your friend, it's your buddy, but it's still an animal and still can do animal things.
This is reminding me of the Assassin's Creed. Whenever you have like your, Assassin's Creed Origins, when you have like your Falcon with you at all times, it's like your sidekick animal that helps you do things that you can't do, and it's like an open world sort of environment. So it's
it's kind of an open world ish sort of scary-ish game,
Yeah.
I don't really say that there's necessarily quests and stuff like that to go on because before Jurassic does anything that's like big open world, they need to just make a streamlined, nice experience. But like, you could go to like different buildings here and there, and like, oh, we have to go to the power place, so we're gonna go into a little bunker and we're gonna walk down the stairs, and there's gonna be a dude's arm hanging there, and then raptors might attack us. Just play on all the tropes because that's what people want. They don't, that's just what they want. It's
pretty cool.
Yeah, and then eventually the big finale of the game. Guess what? You have to make it out of the grown-up T-Rex area because, of course, it's the last area on the map to get out, right? It's right there near the gates. The first thing the visitors would see is the big T-Rexes as they come in. Well, guess what? It's the last thing you have to get past, and then it adds in a little bit of emotional thing because maybe your baby T-Rex little friend is like, Mama, and then maybe it might turn on you for a little bit, and then you have to have a moment together or something, and then maybe the main character even dies in this and a T-Rex eats you. Who knows? It's one of those tragic ending ones, but the baby T-Rex lives, and that's your story. So yeah, that's pretty much my summed up. I think it should be a video game, and I think like a survival kind of escape game where you don't know what's happening, just everything's hitting the fan, and this new element of having a young juvenile-ish T-Rex that's obviously could kill you but doesn't want to kill you. I don't want it to go and, like I said, have emotional like breakdowns like with Chris Pratt's character in Blue and have like weird issues. But like, you know, make it like you said, just a nice animal sidekick. Maybe it disappears from time to time and you're like, oh, where'd it go? I guess it's gone, but then he'll show up again to save you and stuff like that. I just think that would be really cool.
That's pretty cool. I liked how I came up with a show, Lianne, you came up with a movie, and you came up with a video game. So it's like
that's just showing like
yeah,
like the Jurassic. They haven't done enough with the franchise. I mean, we all want different things. Like there's all different avenues that they could hit that they haven't really hit. And at the end of the day, I don't get it because it's a multi-billion-dollar franchise. Every single movie they put out gets $1 billion, and
even
I mean,
bad.
well, yeah, and I mean. Yeah, like the Marvel movies, they don't get much. I mean, they probably could. They tried with that Avengers thing and it was trash. But, you know, like the dinosaur video game world needs to be reawoken, I think.
Yeah,
and I think it would
definitely
be a good world or a good bridge between whatever the hell comes after Jurassic World. If they're going to make movies, if they're going to make TV shows, that needs to obviously have some thought and some time put into it because there's not been much of that put into the franchise over the last decade. They thought a lot about Jurassic World, and from there on out, I think they were like, yeah, freaking human clones and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, good, put it in the
rolling.
movie. Put it in the movie. Yeah, so they need time to actually think to like kind of reboot the franchise, and I think a video game in there would be great.
Cool. Lianne, I have something for you. I have a pitch for you. That that movie that you just explained, tell me why I was like imagining it in like, you know, you can kind of sort of recreate a lot of those scenes in Jurassic World Evolution, so you can make your own little movie. So that's my little
yeah.
that's
you
my
could
little
make the
pitch
facility. Yeah, you could make the
Yes.
little facility I was talking about as well. It's a happy place, and it just,
Uh-huh.
you know, they have to escape and walk out of it.
Yeah, because I know you used to like doing that. You used to like, or you still do, like, you still like, you know, make like scenarios, like kind of like what if sort of parks and stuff, and then you can just like recreate it a little bit. You know, that sounds kind of fun. I'd watch that.
Well, okay, maybe an idea here. Next project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. If you guys haven't subscribed to Lianne, to Evo Squared, please do. The description's down below. Thank you so much for joining us. We're running out of time, but we most definitely are excited to have you back on the show again.
I always love thinking about this franchise, so it was fun coming up with like an evil T-Rex story.
Yes, we love evil T-Rexes, although they do not exist. We still love
They're
them.
not evil. They're just animals.
They're just animals.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Peace.
Later.
Bye.